As the controversial Rwanda Bill returns to the House of Commons today, Rishi Sunak says he's ready to overrule European judges to end what he calls the legal merry-go-round.
However, the Prime Minister is facing a rebellion from within his own party who claim the bill isn't strong enough. Work and Pensions Secretary Mel Stride joins us now. Is this ever going to get through the Commons? Morning.
Yeah, I believe it will. And look, where the Conservative Party in Parliament is absolutely united is we recognise we need to have an effective deterrent in order to make sure that we stop this illegal, malicious trade that has been seeing, for example, just this weekend, the terrible situation of people dying in the cold, dark waters of the Channel. And if we're going to do that, we need to get this bill through and make further progress. Now, we've made enormous progress already, and I don't think this should be overlooked. A 36% reduction in the number of crossings coming across to our shores compared to Europe, where that number is going up quite dramatically in some cases. Italy, a rise, for example, of 80%. But we know that approaches like, for example, our deal with Albania, where we have a returns arrangement there, has seen reductions in the numbers of 93%. Now, all that happens because we have a plan. And what we have with Labour and Keir Starmer, who are opposing all of this legislation, they have nothing to say on this issue. And the reason is they don't have a plan, and we'll go back. We'll go back to square one.
The reason I interrupt is just because I think viewers find it annoying when some politicians from one party say something about politicians from another party, because of course we've had Labour on. They outline their own plan, which is to smash the criminal gangs. I want to put something to you, a couple of things to you. Firstly, we've spoken to migrants this morning. They say the politics is not going to put them off. And it does occur to people, we've seen this tragedy at the weekend. If it being a desperate journey where people that they're getting into boats with actually die doesn't put them off, why would the threat of Rwanda in some distant universe future put them off? How do you know this is going to work when the evidence on the ground is that it won't?
OK, so I would say two things to that. One is that these illegal gangs are manipulating people into believing that they can get across, it's safe, don't worry about it, just pay us the money. You know, and I know that that's not the case, but that inevitably is what they are saying. The second test point, I would say, is look at what's happened with the Albania arrangement. So we have now an arrangement with Albania whereby Albanians coming to the UK illegally are swiftly deported back to Albania. What has the impact of that been? A 93% reduction in the number of Albanians coming to the UK illegally. Rwanda will work right across the piece. It will result in a situation where there'll be vanishingly thin circumstances in which anybody can appeal arriving here. They will arrive here and they will be removed. And that is a message. That is a message that will cut through, as the Albania deal did. And I have to say, and I take your point about, you know, can I criticise the opposition? I think it's important because it's a choice. It's a choice between us with a plan on this issue or Labour with no plan and want to go back to open borders.
You just said the main reason was the gangs, and the Labour plan is to tackle the gangs. So, in a way, you're on the same page.
They don't have a plan. They have woolly notions of spending money and getting a few people here, there and look, we have proven...
That's exactly how they would describe your Rwanda plan.
Well, they're wrong, because they're wrong on two counts.
Do you see what I mean? It's kind of pointless, this argument.
Well, no, what I would point to is the evidence.
Mr. Stride,
let's speak about how we find.
Mr. Stride,
let me just make this point. Ed, let me just make this point. It's really important. We have the evidence before our eyes that we have reduced the numbers coming over by 36%, whilst the rest of Europe has seen these numbers rocketing. So our plan is working. The Rwanda part of this will be a really important next step, which will make further progress. I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you. Labour have no plan on this at all.
The problem is, Mr. Stride, that what the public want most of all is politicians who tell things straight, make promises, and then keep them. And if they don't keep them, they explain why. The Prime Minister made a promise last year that he would stop the boats by the end of last year, and he failed. He didn't stop the boats. So what people want to know is, will you now stop the boats this year? By the time you get to the election, will you have stopped the boats?
What we will do is bring in some really robust legislation that will put us in a position where we have an extraordinary deterrent across the piece to dissuade people from coming. The National Crime Agency,
But I don't think that was an answer to the question, was it? Because I asked you a very...
hold on.
I asked you a straight question, and give me a straight answer.
Yeah.
Last year, the Prime Minister said he would stop the boats, and he didn't. Will he stop the boats this year, yes or no?
So the approach has to be, and the National Crime Agency has underscored this, we have to use deterrence in order to reach that point. And that point will be reached by firstly building on the very significant success that we've had to date, because we followed our plan, but secondly, by bringing in this robust legislation that means that those that come here are swiftly removed from our shores.
The problem is that people will hear you
not... That
not...
will break the model.
The problem is that people will listen to this interview and hear you not answering the question. And I think it's a good idea to answer the question. You can say, yes, we will, or I don't know, or no, we won't. And if you don't know, you can explain why it's hard. But the Prime Minister made a pledge to stop the boats, and we want to know, will you stop the boats? So answer that question.
Yeah, so my answer, Ed, is very simple, which is that we are moving at pace. We've already had success in this respect at reducing those numbers very significantly and continuing to do so whilst those numbers are rocketing upwards in Europe.
But you know that wasn't an answer.
We've already reduced, Ed, this is important. We've already reduced the numbers coming over by 36% when they've been increasing across Europe. Our Albania deal, which is very similar in many respects to what we're putting through with the Rwanda, has seen a reduction in Albania illegal entrance of 93%. Now, that doesn't happen by accident, Ed. It happens because we've got a clear plan. And
so
my point, and I'm sorry...
The honest thing to say is you don't know if you'll be able to stop the boats this year. If you said that and explained that, people would have been so much more respecting of politics as a profession. I've asked you the same question 3 times. You haven't answered it once. It's bad for politics not to answer questions.
What I know and what I'm very clearly saying is that we have had very significant success in getting those numbers down. We will continue to drive those numbers down further, and we will do that partly through getting a robust Rwanda plan through. And I do think, and I do take issue with suggesting that I shouldn't be talking about the opposition because politics is a world of choices. Keir Starmer has nothing of any significance to say about any of this. And the reason why he has nothing is he has no plan. And what we don't want to do is to go back to square one and unwind all that progress we've already made, plus getting through the Rwanda deal that the Labour Party have said they will oppose. People expect progress.
Rishi Sunak's 5 pledges include the pledge to stop the boats, and that's what he will be judged on come the general election. Mel Stride, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Stride.